He never noticed the maid who refilled his glass in silence. He had no idea she wasn't fully human, or that she'd turned herself into a snake for one reason only, to avenge the husband his world had taken from her. Before we drive in, subscribe, share, and likes. Now. She wore his enemy's face in her nightmares. She didn't know yet that the enemy slept 2 doors down from her, and it wasn't him. Alice knelt before a cracked mirror in a one-room apartment in Busan, tracing the photograph of a man who no longer breathed. Daniel had been dead 11 months, shot twice, in an alley that smelled of rain and rust, on a night he swore was just business. No badge ever found the shooter. No court ever spoke his name. Only the old shaman woman down the street had looked into Alice's hollow eyes and whispered a truth Alice hadn't asked for. You carry the blood debt now, and the serpent will carry you. Alice didn't believe in curses. Not until the night grief cracked her open and her skin split into scales beneath moonlight, her spine curling into something ancient and silent. By morning she was herself again, shaking, human, and certain of one thing only. The man who ordered her husband's death was named Si-woo. 12 hours away, in a penthouse of glass and steel above Seoul, Si-woo stood at his window watching the city he owned in silence. Neck tattoos disappeared beneath the collar of a black suit that fit like armor. His men feared him. His enemies buried their dead because of him. But no one, not one soul in that tower, knew he hadn't slept without a loaded gun beneath his pillow since the night his own brother was murdered by someone inside his circle. He needed new house staff. Someone with no ties to Seoul, no past, no questions. His assistant slid a folder across the desk. A photograph of a woman with luminous dark skin and quiet, unreadable eyes. Her name is Alice, she said. She starts tomorrow. If you were Alice, would you trust the man everyone fears? Or trust your grief instead? Tell me in the comments. The penthouse smelled of cedar and gun oil. Alice set a tray of tea before Si-woo with hands trained not to shake, though inside her pulse screamed his name like an accusation. He didn't look up from his laptop. You're new. Yes, sir. Look at me when you speak. She did, and for one unguarded second, something in her chest lurched. His eyes weren't cruel. They were tired, haunted even. Not the eyes of the monster she'd built in her nightmares for 11 months. This can't be him, a voice whispered. She silenced it. Si-woo studied her longer than protocol allowed. Her file was clean, too clean. No family listed. No history before 3 years ago. A ghost wearing a woman's skin. Where are you from? He asked. Busan, sir. You lie carefully, he said quietly, like someone who's done it before. Alice's fingers tightened around the teapot handle. I don't know what you mean, sir. He finally smiled, thin, unreadable. Neither do I, yet. That night, alone in the servants' quarters, Alice pulled a folded photograph from beneath her mattress. Daniel, laughing, alive, an ocean of grief compressed into 4 by 6 inches. She pressed it to her chest as her skin began to prickle, scales rising like goosebumps at the edges of her hairline. Not yet, she told herself, forcing the change back down. Not until I know for certain. 2 floors above, Si-woo stood at his window, turning her photo over in his hand, the one his assistant had given him. He didn't know why, but something told him she was more dangerous than any enemy currently hunting him. Do you think Si-woo already suspects what Alice really is? Drop your theory below. Palace. For a week, Alice kept her head down and her eyes open. She memorized guard rotations, cataloged the men who came and went, listened at doors she had no business standing near. Every night she searched for one name in whispered conversations. The man who'd pulled the trigger on Daniel. She found nothing linking Si-woo directly. Only fear. His men feared him. But something else, too. A tension beneath the surface, like the house itself was holding its breath. Si-woo, meanwhile, could not stop watching her. Fire her, said Taeyong, his second-in-command, sliding a folder across the desk. Her background doesn't exist before 3 years ago. That's not an oversight, boss. That's a manufactured life. I know, Si-woo said. Then why is she still here? Si-woo didn't answer. He wasn't sure himself. Every instinct, honed over a decade of blood and betrayal, told him to eliminate the risk. But something about the grief buried in her eyes felt more honest than anyone else in this house. "Watch her," he said finally. "Don't touch her." Taeyong's jaw tightened, but he nodded and left. That evening, Alice served dinner in silence, aware of Siwoo's eyes tracking her every movement. When she reached to refill his glass, her sleeve rode up, revealing a faint scar shaped almost like a bite, from the night the curse first claimed her. Siwoo caught her wrist, not hard. "Just enough to still her? What happened here?" he asked. "An accident, sir," she whispered, pulling back. He let her go, but his eyes said he didn't believe a single word. Would you have run by now, or stayed to find the truth? Comment below. Plaoyen. The gunfire started just after midnight. Alice woke to shouting, the shatter of glass, boots pounding marble 2 floors down. A rival gang, the Choi family, had breached the outer gate. Alarms screamed through the penthouse as guards scrambled into position. Her door burst open. Siwoo, blood already darkening his sleeve, grabbed her arm. "Move, now. I can protect myself." "Not against them," he snapped, pulling her into the hallway as bullets tore through the wall behind them. They reached the panic room seconds before the door sealed. The world outside reduced to muffled chaos, and Siwoo's ragged breathing beside her in the dark. "You're bleeding," Alice said, tearing a strip from her sleeve without thinking, pressing it to the wound at his shoulder. "Why do you care?" he asked, watching her hands work with strange precision. "Because no one else in this house will," she said quietly, truer than she meant it to be. Silence settled between them, broken only by distant gunfire fading into sirens. In the cramped dark, something shifted. Not trust exactly, but the fragile beginning of it. "Tell me your real name," Siwoo said suddenly. Alice's breath caught. "It is my real name." "Then, tell me the real story behind it." She looked at him, really looked, searching his face for the cruelty she'd carried inside her for 11 months. She still couldn't find it. "Not tonight," she whispered. He nodded slowly, accepting the lie for now. But his hand didn't leave hers until the all-clear sounded an hour later. "What do you think Alice is hiding? Besides the obvious. Tell me below." Palish. 3 days later, Siwoo summoned Alice to his study. Not as staff, but for reasons neither of them said aloud. On his desk lay an open case file. Alice's stomach dropped as she recognized the photograph clipped to the corner. "Daniel, you knew him," Siwoo said. It wasn't a question. Alice's carefully built composure cracked. "He was my husband." Siwoo exhaled slowly, closing his eyes as if absorbing a blow he'd expected for weeks. "Daniel worked for me," he said quietly. "Undercover, inside the Choi organization. He was feeding me intelligence for 8 months before. Before you had him killed," Alice said, voice shaking. "Before someone had him killed," Siwoo corrected sharply. "I didn't order that hit, Alice. I've spent 11 months hunting whoever did." Alice stared at him, the ground shifting beneath everything she'd believed. "Then who?" Siwoo pulled another file forward. Surveillance photos, financial records, a pattern of leaked information that led only one direction. "Someone inside my own circle," he said. "Someone I trusted." Alice's eyes fell on a name highlighted in red ink at the bottom of the page. Taeyong. Her breath left her in a rush. The man who'd wanted her fired. The man always one step behind her, watching. "He's the one who found Daniel," Siwoo said. "I just never had proof until now." Alice sat frozen, grief and fury, and 11 months of misplaced hatred colliding inside her chest. "I came here to kill you," she whispered before she could stop herself. Siwoo didn't flinch. "I know," he said. "I think some part of me hoped you would try. Did you see that twist coming? Comment your reaction." They didn't speak of it again that night. Instead, Siwoo poured 2 glasses of soju and set one in front of her, an offering, not an order. "Tell me about him," he said. "Daniel. The real him, not the file." Alice's fingers curled around the glass. "He laughed too loud in quiet rooms. He learned 3 words of Yoruba just to surprise my mother." Her voice cracked. "He wanted children. I never told him I wasn't ready. Now I'll never get the chance to be. Sai Wu listened without interrupting, something in his rigid posture slowly loosening. My brother used to say the same thing, he said quietly, about wanting a family. Taeyong killed him too, 3 years ago. Made it look like a rival hit, _. His jaw tightened. I promoted his murderer to my right hand because I never questioned the story he sold me. Alice looked at him differently now. Not the monster from her nightmares, but a man carrying his own 11 months, stretched into years. We're both haunted by the same man, she said. Then let's stop haunting each other, Siwoo replied. For the first time since Daniel's death, Alice laughed. Small, surprised, unguarded. Siwoo watched the sound change her whole face, and something dangerous unfurled in his chest. Something that had nothing to do with vengeance. Later, alone in her room, Alice pressed her palm to her sternum, waiting for scales, for rage, for the serpent to rise like it always did. Nothing came. For the first time in 11 months, she didn't want to become the snake. She wanted to stay human. For him. Do you think Alice is falling for the man she once wanted to kill? Comment below. Taeyong found the photograph first. Searching Alice's room under the excuse of routine security, he uncovered the folded picture of Daniel hidden beneath her mattress, and on the back, 4 words in her handwriting. Justice for my husband. By evening, he'd summoned the entire house to the main hall, Alice dragged forward by 2 guards, Siwoo storming in moments later. She's not staff, Taeyong announced, voice booming with false righteousness. She's Daniel's widow. She infiltrated this house to kill you, boss, and you let her sleep 2 doors from your room. Siwoo's eyes found Alice's. For one unbearable second, doubt flickered across his face. Not because he believed Taeyong, but because she hadn't told him everything. Is this true? He asked, voice low. Yes, Alice said, refusing to look away. I came here to kill you. I was wrong. Wrong? Taeyong laughed. Boss, she's dangerous. Look at her file. 3 years of nothing. Ask her what she really is. Alice's skin prickled with warning heat. She fought it down, but the room noticed her trembling, her eyes flashing gold for one impossible instant. Gasps rippled through the guards. What? Siwoo started. Lock her in the east wing, Taeyong ordered before Siwoo could finish. Guards moving before their boss could countermand him. For everyone's safety. Iwoo didn't stop them. Alice's heart shattered as the doors slammed shut. Siwoo's stunned silence louder than any accusation. Do you think Siwoo will choose loyalty to his crew, or Alice? Comment now. Alone in the locked east wing, Alice pressed her forehead to the cold window, grief and fury colliding once more. He didn't defend me, she thought, not even a word. But hours later, past midnight, Siwoo stood outside Taeyong's private office, the surveillance file from days earlier gripped in his fist. He'd spent the evening quietly confirming every transaction, every leaked coordinate, every lie stacked over 3 years. Inside, Taeyong was on the phone, voice hushed. The woman is compromised, I'll handle her myself tonight. Don't worry about Siwoo. Siwoo pushed the door open. Taeyong froze, phone slipping from his hand. You killed my brother, Siwoo said quietly. You killed Daniel, and you were about to kill Alice tonight to bury it all. Boss, I can explain. Don't, Siwoo said. I trusted you for 11 years. That trust dies tonight. Guards loyal to Siwoo, men he'd quietly briefed an hour earlier, stepped from the shadows, seizing Taeyong before he could reach for his weapon. Siwoo didn't wait to see him dragged away. He ran. Down 2 flights, through the east wing corridor, to the locked door where Alice sat curled against the wall, exhausted, betrayed, alone. He unlocked it with shaking hands. I know everything, he said. I know what you are. I know what he did. And I choose you, not despite it. Because of everything you survived to get here. Alice looked up, tears finally breaking free. Even the snake? Especially the snake. Siwoo said softly. Did Siwoo redeem himself in time, or too late? Comment your thoughts. 3 months later, the Seoul skyline glittered beneath a sky finally clear of storms. Taeyong was gone, exiled from the organization, his crimes exposed to every family in the underworld, his name spoken now only as a warning. Justice, real justice, had finally found Daniel. Alice stood on the penthouse balcony, where Siwoo had once watched the city alone. Now he stood beside her, his hand finding hers without hesitation. "I used to come out here to remember what I'd lost," he said. "Now I come out here to remember what I found." Alice smiled, the weight in her chest lighter than it had been in over a year. The serpent still lived beneath her skin. It always would, but it no longer rose from grief or vengeance. It rose only when she needed to protect what she loved. "Daniel would have liked you," she said quietly, once he got past the neck tattoos. Siwoo laughed, a real unguarded sound she'd learned to treasure. "I'll take that as a compliment." Below them, the house staff moved freely, through halls no longer shadowed by fear or hidden betrayal. Alice had earned more than safety here. She'd earned a family stitched together from loss. Siwoo turned her gently to face him. "Stay," he said. "Not as staff, as mine, if you'll have me." Alice pressed her palm to his chest, feeling his heartbeat steady beneath her hand. "I already gave you my worst secret," she whispered. "I think it's safe to give you everything else, too." Above them, the moon rose full and silver, and for the first time, Alice welcomed it without fear. If Alice's story moved you, tell me below. Would you have forgiven Siwoo as fast as she did? Palace